We've all grown up with fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, and while they were just stories that we would be entertained with, some of us was actually scared by them. But do you know that some fairy tales have a very sinister origin?
How creepy is that? I don't know about you guys, but I remember being terrified of Little Red Riding Hood when I was growing up.
Why? Why was that?
I just think the big bad wolf, you know, and I definitely had loads of nightmares as a result of that growing up. Yeah, like I used to be really scared of foxes and wolves. They were the main characters in my nightmares growing up.
Right.
And I think part of them were due to those fairy tales about Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf and the granny and the whole lot.
Yeah. But stories like that were told, that did go back hundreds of years, probably even more.
Thousands
of years.
Rumpelstiltskin, when we were researching this, Rumpelstiltskin and what was the other one?
Sleeping Beauty?
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, they go back 4,000 years. But apparently there was an older one that went back to about 6,000 years.
Wow.
The Smith and the Devil. So it was about a blacksmith actually who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for supernatural powers. You know,
Isn't that, and that's a recurring theme?
Like, to scare kids.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Jesus, how dreadful. Like when you think of it.
But a lot of it, I think a lot of it was probably to keep people in their place. Don't sell your soul to get something. Don't kind of rise above your station, because certainly back in those times, if you were a blacksmith, that was as good as it got.
Oh yeah.
You can never expect to get tremendously wealthy or anything else like that. If you were a lowly servant, that was your lot.
Yeah.
And that was your family's lot in the generations that came afterwards.
Yeah.
Wasn't until the lotto came in that you could actually win money and improve your situation, your circumstances. But even stories like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one. I used to have a thing about witches.
Really
I used to hate witches.
Really?
Yeah.
What's that about?
See, it's about dominant female characters in my life. That's what it is. Whether it's they'd say like the mother figure or even a teacher figure.
Yeah.
And I did have a lot of problems with some female teachers when I was a kid, when I was growing up. They just didn't like me for whatever reason.
They were definitely witches.
Yeah, but So I remember watching stuff on telly. If there was a witch in it, I'd have nightmares about the witch.
God, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And even something like the Wizard of Oz. The Wicked Witch from the North.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Was it the West or the North? I forget which.
I thought the North one was good. Or
I didn't like any
good.
of them.
They were all bad.
There
was a white witch anyways. And
it was good. Yeah. I think the one from the North and the one from the West were sisters, and they both got killed in it. Yeah.
Those flying friggin' rat things they were like flying dog things.
Oh yeah,
they
monkeys. The monkeys.
Monkeys
with wings. Yeah. Simpsons have kind of rehashed those, haven't they? Like monkeys.
Oh yeah.
Had those. But a lot of these stories, such as Hansel and Gretel, were told to keep kids safe.
Yeah.
Don't go into the forest. Bad things happen. And you see that even like in Harry Potter films, like where don't go into the forest.
Don't be tempted by the candy from a stranger.
Yeah. So to keep people safe. Whether they did or not, I don't know.
I don't know. Children, still fell victim to those kind of things.
What do you think, like even like about Sleeping Beauty, right? So she falls asleep. Again, it was the wicked witch that got her to prick her finger on a spindle, and she went to sleep for, I don't know, 200 years or 100 years.
Did she not bite into a poisonous apple?
Oh, sorry, that was
Snow White and the 7 vertically challenged people. Actually, politically
I heard some talk about that the other day. They were saying, like, look at her, like she was there, like cleaning up after 7 men. All day, every day.
I know, yeah. Jesus.
The teams are interwoven, anyways. But this idea that that you should wait for the love of your life to come along, and he's going to come along and hack through forests and everything, and he's going to rescue you.
Yeah. Nonsense. Absolutely dread these stories.
You don't believe that?
No, absolute nonsense.
Your prince will come.
Rapunzel, all this stuff. But waiting for the prince to climb up her hair and all this and rescue her from the tower. Yeah. Absolute nonsense. And I think some of the stories that are out today are even worse. Like, this 14 or 15-year-old girl goes off across the ocean by herself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and fights a deity, you know, and wins. Like, how crazy is that? A grown-ass
Well, I
man.
suppose you see they're probably trying to get role models, but I was just thinking there was a story. Oh,
It's the extremism of it.
There was an ice queen in it, and she used to freeze people, kids especially.
Oh yeah, Narnia or something.
Was it part of Narnia? I forget which. Anyway,
It was one of those
a brother or
Narnia
sister, and the
Chronicles.
brother got frozen, and the sister had to rescue him.
Yes.
And again, it was like that witch sinister. Why is it? Do you think that a lot of the bad characters are women? Is it that these stories are written by men?
Well, that's not true. We're just happen to be talking about witches at the moment.
No,
Like,
women are
there's
evil.
loads of, like,
Is the story? That's what I'm getting from it.
There's lots of bad men out there as well.
There might be a bad king, or a sorcerer. You know.
But even in all those kids' films and different tales, I mean, there's always a good and a bad character, you know?
Oh yeah, and good always has to win.
Yeah, they always do.
I read somewhere recently where American films, I don't like a lot of American films because you have the same old plot being rehashed again and again and again, and it was actually policy that the good guy had to win.
Really?
Yeah, the film studios were told this is the thing. Good has to prevail over evil.
I actually heard that.
Yeah.
They won't allow you to air a film unless it's in line with what they want people to see.
Which was, Game of Thrones, I don't know where it was. Well, I know some of it was made in Ireland, some of it was made in different countries. I don't know who owned the company that made it, but it's refreshing in that aspect of it, that the good guys don't win in a lot of that thing.
Yeah.
Which really shocked me, but I found it really refreshing too. Like, the king, hires his best friend to come back, and he says, I need you to stabilise the kingdom, and they're right back in the kingdom, and they get killed.
Wow.
And it happens over and over again.
Isn't that a bit like in Game of Thrones where the unexpected person gets killed? I don't watch this, but if you guys watch
you should watch Game of Thrones. Watch Game of Thrones.
It's brilliant.
It is. It's very good. It's very
unpredictable, I believe.
It's unpredictable, which is really gets me in because I like that. But as well as that, then it can be very gory. It can be very graphic. So it's not for kids. It's not for kids, but it's a kind of like, it does show you the real horrors, but it does show you too about people's belief system, and the common line in Game of Thrones is winter is coming, like the bad is coming.
Wow.
And the bad does come.
I love that. Yeah, that's suspenseful. I like that.
That's like a fairy tale being rehashed. Like you still get it in modern day films.
Yeah, I think you do, definitely. And the narrative is changing then as well, because we're trying to empower women and grow these wonderful, strong women. But I just don't agree.
They're wicked. They're evil.
Ignore that. I don't agree with the way it's being done. Certainly. Like, I just think it's given false narratives, like, to young girls growing up.
Yeah.
Because I think we've always gotten that false narrative, really. And I think men are getting the same thing. They're expected to be, years ago when we were small, there were, knight in shining armour, Prince Charming is coming to rescue you and save you and be the best
not like
provider.
drunks coming home from the pub and having a row.
And that's really what happened in the end.
The reality.
The reality is. Yeah, we had fucking drunk.
So is it then that fairy tales were kind of, to kind of go, never mind reality, this is what you should aspire to, and this will eventually happen.
Yeah.
Like the good will prevail. Even something like The Matrix, which is quite old now, the original film. In that film, Neo is like this savior. He's like this Jesus Christ figure.
Yeah.
That literally rises from the dead.
That can control the Matrix.
That you can control things. But isn't that like a kind of a rehash of a fairy tale? The prince or the hero will come and would slay the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rescue everybody, the villagers, and everybody be happy ever after.
Yeah. And of course Trinity falls in love with him.
Yes, yeah.
She has to fall in love with the main character.
But I suppose what I like then too about The Matrix is that things aren't happy ever after.
Yeah.
There's Matrix 2 and 3, and then more recently there was another one added on. Which,
I don't know, I didn't see the last one actually.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Kind of.
Don't spoil it for me.
No, I won't.
Spoiler alert!
It's been out a little while.
Okay, I better go watch it then.
But Grimm Brothers, like, they used to write, they kind of accumulated a lot of fairy tales. I think it was in the 1800s, something like that. And I remember, like, there used to be a library bus that would come to the school and trying to get, fairy tales from Denmark, fairy tales from New York, from Ireland, fairy tales. They were all different slant on them. But when you think of, like, you can't call them fairy tales, but I suppose you call them myths that we grew up with, like, you know, the
Yeah.
children of Lure.
Oh yeah, the swans, 3 swans.
Yeah.
Being turned
And again,
into
it's the
swans.
evil mother.
Yeah.
The evil stepmother.
in
It's a recurring
particular,
theme.
Yeah, it's
See,
mad.
I'm right about this.
He is not. I am a wonderful stepmother. And my stepson loves me very much.
Fine. She makes him tell her that every day.
Yeah, I do.
But
yeah.
you see, I suppose the majority of teachers...
He's getting the poison apple, lads, if he doesn't.
The majority of teachers when I was growing up, certainly were women.
Yeah.
And if you struggled in
Yeah.
school like I did, then you got the short end of the stick, or literally the stick.
Yeah, literally the friggin' stick. Yeah, our teacher used to whack us with a ruler with a metal top on the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh, she was a horrid person.
Or you'd be sent out
With
to the
my-
hedge to get a stick to bring
Yeah,
home.
she's a very frustrated woman, bless her.
But you see, a lot of them were, and I think you know, going back to nuns who were kind of, sometimes they were kind of thrown into nunhood. There was such a
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And a lot of them were bitter, frustrated women.
Yeah, they didn't want to be nuns.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
they took it out on the kids.
Yeah, the children got terrible abuse, actually. You know,
So-
here in Ireland, I don't know any of you guys know the history of that. It's just dreadful.
Yeah.
It really is awful, and I think that's why we have so many fecked up things over here.
But fairy tales too, like when you know, like again, the wolf thing. I suppose the wolf is male, isn't it? Like you're not told otherwise.
Yeah.
Like the 3 little pigs and the wolf, the big bad wolf
Yeah.
on the outside.
Oh yeah.
You know, Jack and the Beanstalk. It's a
Giant,
yeah,
with a
yeah,
giant man at the top of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of ties into, we have this attraction to fear. Like I remember as a teenager watching loads and loads of horror films. I remember my kids got into the same thing. You watch them to scare the hell out of yourself. It gives you a kind of a rush. It gives you a kind of an excitement.
fright.
And then you would be scaring yourself, then rehashing that stuff in your head. Then if you found yourself walking along a dark street or a dark road at night, because your mind is telling you everything that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
Vampires.
Oh my god, yeah. Obsessed with vampire films.
Yeah, Bram Stoker created the Dracula thing.
Wow.
And there's speculation that, you know, Dracula comes from the old Irish Druc Ulla, which means bad blood.
Oh.
And Bram Stoker's grandmother, I think it was, she was from Sligo. He grew up in Dublin. But she would have regaled him with stories of a plague that hit Sligo. And that people would have bled from their ears and their nose and their orifices.
Oh my god.
And they would die. I don't know what, I forget what disease, was it cholera or something like that?
Jeez, I don't know.
But people would die. It was so contagious that in the end they didn't wait for people to die. They just smacked them over the head with a shovel and buried them in the ground. And people would crawl out of these graves who weren't dead.
Oh god.
And they reckon that was influenced him, that he would have heard these stories, and that was in his head when he wrote Dracula. Of course, people kind of think of Vlad the Impaler and
Yeah,
Transylvania and
I
all
think
that.
it's all
And he
that
would
guy.
have heard stories of that too. And there was lots of other stories that kind of predated that. But isn't it interesting that there's a romance element with Dracula? Like he would come in and he would seduce the woman
Yeah.
while she was half asleep and bite her neck.
And then bite her neck.
And then she would be a bride of
Strange.
Dracula.
Yeah.
You never aspired to be a bride of Dracula.
Never. No.
Not your thing.
Never really crossed my mind. Although I have dated many bloodsuckers. I'm afraid.
Any of them that are watching, just contact. We'd like the dirt.
Dude. Seriously. I'll just lay it out for you now.
It was practiced. I remember seeing something on YouTube where a guy, he was grieving over his daughter, and his wife had died of some disease or whatever, and these idiots said, "Oh, that's their ghost. They're not at rest. You need to exhume the bodies and hit a stake through Ireland," which he did. Mad stuff.
Oh my god, yeah. Or even burning witches at the stake.
I think we're all women.
Mental. Yeah, mental
Burning
stuff.
witches.
Yeah, what the fuck were we thinking?
Women got a bad name for some reason.
What did they go about on rap? I
Yeah.
tell you, and now you come into the 20th century, like, and it's all men are getting the bad rap, and it's really unfolding who are the
Well, you
bad
see, I
ones
suppose
at
a
the
lot of-
end of the day.
a lot of
It's all
modern-
them.
Yeah, and a lot of modern films, though, isn't it? Like the bad guy is a guy.
Yeah. Actually, you mentioned the American movies and you hating those story tales or whatever that come up and
predictable.
those. But like it's nearly always like the Russians are the bad guys. Now, I know currently there is a war going on and I'm sensitive to that issue, but like Russians are not all bad. I have some amazing friends who are Russian, one in particular who'll be coming here shortly actually.
Right, okay.
And sure, Jesus, like, they're just
I remember, Siobhan, I saw something that was a good while back. It was got to do with the Middle East, and it was got to do with the Americans in the Middle East, and there was this lady, she was military, but she had somebody in, and they were interrogating them.
Oh God.
And this guy was saying, that you're the bad guy, and she was saying, no, we're the police force of the world, we're the good guys. He says, no, think about it. He said, you come in here, you invade our country, you take our oil, you kill our people. What do you expect us to do? And they go, what would you do if somebody did that to you? And suddenly occurred to her, oh my God, we are the bad guys.
Stop.
Okay.
Amazing. Anyway.
Yes.
Let us know what you think about the fairy tales.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
We're happy headers. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.